Think safe, act safe, be safe every day.
So when we talk about health and safety in particular, we always talk about PPE. People often complain, PPE is uncomfortable, it's hot, but I can assure you, going through life with a hand injury, having no fingers or no hand, is even more uncomfortable. Going through life with an eye injury or having one eye is even more uncomfortable. Or going through life with a head injury because you're not wearing your hard hat is even more uncomfortable. So please, let's make sure we wear our PPE. In the previous set of videos, you would have seen quite a lot of information from our CEO, Mr. Kobus Snyman, up to all of our wonderful actors, telling you about our life-changing rules and the critical behaviors associated to each one of these. In November 2022, we and our management team embarked on this exciting journey with the initiative that we've launched called the Life-Changing Rules, or the LCRs in short. These rules and these critical behaviors are all written in blood, as Kobus explained. These are all part of our safety statistics and the reports from previous injuries and accidents that happened in our workplace. Before I delve too deep into what I want to explain with regards to the life-changing rules and the critical behaviors, I first want to thank everybody that participated in this initiative. From our employees on our projects up to our senior managers, we are all committed in this journey. Through a comprehensive approach with input at all levels, from employees up to senior management, we have managed to put together a very good program or initiative that addresses all of our behaviors on our project sites. These are all related to current activities, and we are 100% sure that this will improve the lives of all of our stakeholders on our various operations. Our vision is to make sure that everybody goes home unharmed at the end of each shift to their loved ones and families. As you have heard, our life-changing rules are a set of 10 rules that addresses specific operations and specific activities on our projects. And the critical rules are 10 rules that we expect all people involved with our projects, visitors or employees, to always adhere to. Firstly, the life-changing rules is a set of 10 rules that we expect all people to adhere to on site. These guidelines are well defined and put in all of our posters, all of our documentation and all of our procedures. And the critical behaviors, again, is 10 sets of rules that we expect with the input from our line managers, such as our supervisors and our safety personnel on site, to make sure that people comply to them. These are easy and simple to follow rules and behaviors, and this is what we expect from anybody on site. Just to make sure everybody knows exactly what our 10 rules and our 10 critical behaviors are, let's just recap. Our first rule, vehicle and road safety. This rule has to do with any transportation where we drive on one of our project roads or on a national roads. And remember, the road rule still applies. Lifting and rigging. This means lifting any item mechanically through a crane or a boom or a high-up on a truck. Remember, the rule here is do not be under a suspended load. And rule number 3, mobile plant and equipment. As you know, mobile plant and equipment on most sites are quite huge machines, so stay well clear and always make sure that the operator can see you. The rule is simple. If you cannot see the operator cannot see you. Rule number 4, lockout and isolation. Make sure you test any system that you are using. Test for dead. Remember, if you do not test, you'll end up dead. Rule number 5, fall protection. Make sure you wear your safety harness and hook up at all times. Rule number 6, excavations. Remember, those are all of the trenches and openings we make on site. Rule number 7, confined space entry. This is any area where you need to work where air is limited, such as a silo, a vessel, or a cavity or a manhole. Rule number 8, hazardous chemicals. These are all forms of chemicals or liquids that may cause harm. So if you use them, make sure that people are aware of the contents in your container and make sure you know what to do in case of an emergency. Number 9, safety devices and guards. These are things such as angle grinders or drills or anything similar where there is a device to make sure your fingers don't get caught. And lastly, rule number 10, ergonomics and manual labor. Make sure you are fit to perform this task. Ergonomics and manual lifting specifically is quite a risk on the human body, so make sure you are fit to do so. If the load is too heavy, make sure you get somebody to actually help you. Just to recap our 10 critical behaviors. First and foremost, know what to do in the case of emergency, specifically for yourself and your fellow colleagues. Make sure you know who to call and who to speak to should you encounter an emergency situation. Always come to work alcohol and drug free. This goes without saying. If you are under the influence, this could impair your safety performance on the project. Only operate a machine or equipment if you are trained and authorized to do so. Make sure your appointment, legal or other, talks back to what your job function is on site. If you have been appointed as an operator or as a general laborer, please make sure you know what your function is. If you are unsure, please speak to your supervisor or your manager. Always isolate and test for lead when working on energy sources. These include mechanical, hydraulic, electric, and even air. Make sure you are aware of the risk of the task at hand. Always be fit and able to work. This references your employee medical. Make sure that you've gone for your medical, make sure it's valid, and make sure it is as per your job category or classification. Make sure you are fit for the work that you need to perform. Always conduct a pre-work risk assessment, or the DSTI as we call them, the Daily Safe Task Instruction. The purpose of this is to ensure you are aware of the hazards and the risks associated to the task you will be performing today. If you do not do this in the morning, please speak to your supervisor or manager, as this should be the first activity of the day. Always use critical personal protective equipment, or PPE as we know it. Make sure if your DSTI or the risk assessment tells you what kind or what type of PPE you should be using, that you are actually using it. If there is limitations, or if there is a shortcoming, please do not start with the task. Refer back to your supervisor or manager and make sure that you get the correct PPE before the task starts. Report unsafe acts and conditions. Not only is this a legal requirement, but also shows your duty of care and looking after your fellow worker. Please report these to your area safety officer, your health and safety rep, your manager or supervisor, so we can put corrective actions in place and make sure we don't harm anybody. Always seek and obtain a permit before entering confined spaces. This will ensure that you have the correct equipment for ventilation or atmospheric testing, or to make sure you know what the procedure is for emergency extraction in the case of an emergency. And lastly, but also very important, do not override or modify any safety equipment, devices, or guards. They are there for a reason. Please make use of them. As part of the launch of this initiative, management, site and office signed a safety pledge which proudly is displayed at our reception area. This proves and commits us to ensure the successful rollout of this initiative. At this meeting, we pledged our commitment in terms of our participation and empowering people to speak up when they observe at-risk behaviors or at-risk conditions, reporting them to the correct people and making sure we get it actioned to minimize our risks and the effects it might have on our people. So your role, in short, is to comply to our life-changing rules, comply to the critical behaviors, and report any deviations or any improvements that we as the management team can make to ensure that all stakeholders in our organization and on our operations are not ill-affected. We're extremely excited about the outcomes of this initiative and the input and the role everybody plays. And I know that this will make an impact on everybody's lives and will ensure our vision of making sure that everyone goes home unharmed at the end of the day. Of course, this also means that every one of you needs to play your part. So remember, real safety starts with you, with your commitment and your participation and your input into this initiative. I encourage everyone to live our company's safety slogan: think safe, act safe, and be safe.
Think safe, act safe, be safe, every